All right. Let me make sure transcript is on. All right. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, it's Thursday, March 12th, 2026, and I'm here with Jim Brown at his home in Monmouth. And Jim's going to tell us about his past, his upbringing, that sort of thing. Hi, Jim.
Hello. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah. So we'll just start by where and when were you born, Jim?
I was born in Monmouth, Illinois, 1944. Uh, at that time, I was taken back out to outside of between out towards Norwood, really. My mom was living on a farm place at the time. My dad was in the military, and my grandfather had died just a matter of a few weeks before. So the place that I was at was with my grandma, Sadie Mahaffey, and my mom and myself.
Okay.
And they moved, I believe, to Monmouth. I think it was in about 6 to 9 months after I was born. Bought a home at 120 North C. And up until a few years ago, that was the home place all those years.
Right, right. So where were you in line with your siblings?
I'm the old one.
You're the older one.
I have three brothers, all of us basically 5 years apart. Terry, Denny, and brother Chris. He's the baby of the family.
Okay.
One of my brothers is Terry, that's in Georgia, retired. My brother Denny is in Aledo, Illinois, retired. My brother Chris is actually from Naperville, but has a business in Peoria and is semi-retired now. Hard to believe they're all of that age.
Of course. Okay. Well, tell me, what was your earliest memory, Jim?
Probably my earliest memory as a kid was the opportunity to go outside and be able to play outside all the time and run around with freedom. Never thought anything about it. My parents were just very giving in terms of letting us roam the neighborhood and had tons and tons of kids. Probably best memory. There were so many young kids in the neighborhood all the way through all my life, going all the way through high school. But within walking distance of over where I lived on North Sea in Monmouth, you could probably find 45 to 50 grade school kids all could congregate at the school or at the park. And again, all almost within shouting distance of their parents when it's time to come home for supper or time to go and whatever the case may be. So very, very loving neighborhood, friends, everything. So
Did you play ball at West Park?
played ball at West Park, played ball at Willits, and my Uncle Harry Dorr was custodian over at Willits. And with that, we could get into school quite often. People always were talking about cleaning the fire escapes at the different carnival times. We were in the school all the time and could go down the fire escape. It's hard to believe they didn't realize they had one small room downstairs, which was a gym, and that was true in Garfield, Willits, and I believe Harding. And we could go in and shoot baskets, and he would let us in on the weekends and everything like that. So,
oh my gosh.
But same thing. West Park was a gathering point for ball games, all kinds of activities, and so really had no intimidation from high school kids at all. It was just completely different time with what was going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me about your parents, Jim. Where was your father born?
My dad was born in Aledo, Illinois.
Okay.
I'm not sure how many brothers and sisters, but from a large family. Okay. My dad went to World War II in the Navy, and he was shipped in the Pacific. He was raised as a farm kid. His family owned farms, not a big farmer, but he was involved in farming, mainly some livestock as a student. Dad went to the military though, and actually I was born while he was gone. He didn't see me till I was almost 2 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And then he was probably in shock when he did see me and wanted to go back to the military again. Pretty common for a lot of the military men though at the time, going off. Dad came back to Monmouth after the war, and Mom and Grandma were living at 120 North C. And with that, he went to work for R&V Grocery Store, basically as a delivery man. And he went to work for Clark and McNeil, which was another grocery store. Just odd jobs with them. Opportunity came about that he went to work for Illinois Power. He started out on the forestry with the power company, and then as a meter reader, and finally he became a lineman. And I'm not sure the exact number of years, but I think Dad was there like 39 years.
Wow.
And tremendous respect for all the men and women that are involved with all the utilities and all. Didn't really appreciate how difficult it was to go and work in all the elements, whether it be summer, the storms, or the winter, but he did all the time. My mother came from Alexis, Illinois. Her
What's her
maiden,
name?
Patricia
Okay.
Mahaffey Brown.
Okay.
And my mom then came with my grandmother, which was Sadie Mahaffey, to Monmouth. Mom was a graduate of Alexis High School, involved in singing, involved in music. She salutatorian. She didn't pass any of those genes on to me, but she did. Very proud of that. Large contingent of family and cousins all up in the Alexis Norwood area at the time. That's something that's really passed by the wayside, both on my dad's side and on my mom's side. As I grew up all the way in through college years, and even a little beyond, there was always a gathering of relatives, which was a large contingent up there. And many people that I turned around and called aunts and uncles turned out weren't even related.
Oh.
We just out of respect, we always called them an aunt and uncle because that's what they seem like in the process. So, and there's still many relatives up in there within both mom's side and dad's side.
Mhm.
And so very, very good relationship. Surprisingly, in Monmouth, when my mom and my grandma came to town, there was nobody other than, well, that's not true. I had Uncle Harry and Aunt Rose Dorr, but there was no Browns and there was no other Mahaffey people on that side. So that was kind of strange all the years for as big a family as they had.
Mhm.
But that was again sign of the times.
Yeah.
It was interesting, and most people might, some people might appreciate my Uncle Harry and Aunt Rose Dorr had 3 daughters. They turned around, all their husbands were in the military, drafted into the war. All of them came to, all those wives and their kids came to Monmouth at that time and lived in a little tiny house, which was across from Willits.
Okay.
And they all had sons and daughters that were all my age.
Okay.
Every one of them had at least one child at the time, and so that's where the connection and gathering came on that side of the family, and that happened to be a half sister to my grandmother. Is how that acquaintance came about.
Okay.
And as I talk about all the custodians, I was real proud of my Uncle Floyd Kilgore. He was custodian over at Garfield School. So we had the same privilege to get into Garfield and enjoy it. But it's also where we, as kids, got to know all these kids from the Garfield School area.
Uh-huh.
So we'd go over there and play in the school or inside or outside. And that association carried on till today, in fact. Yeah.
Yeah. And Garfield School was on East Euclid Avenue.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So
And I don't think we mentioned your dad's name. Your dad's name was Merle.
Merle Wayne Brown.
Yeah.
Yes, I am James Wayne, and I have a son, Keith Wayne, and I have a grandson, Kenny Wayne. So
Okay.
we've tried to keep middle name on down through the family tree.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And how many children do you have?
I have 3 children and a stepdaughter. My oldest daughter is Michelle Brown Lawrence. She is a teacher. She lives in North Aurora. I turned around to have my son Keith here in Monmouth. He is a marketing and actually now doing the coordination of the new buying and restoration of homes in Monmouth for Jameson Center.
Oh,
Keith has stayed and married to a local girl, Dawn Brown. My youngest daughter is Julie, and Julie Brown Adcock. She lives in Pasodum, which is out of Champaign, and she is now ag in the classroom teacher. Her husband both is with the salesman for John Deere and also is a farmer. And my stepdaughter, Lauren Hindle, is in Moline. She was working at Cone. I think she is now on a different job. However, then she has 3 children. So I have grandchildren, Traylyn and Tristan and Quentin.
okay.
My daughter Julie has Kenny and Kelsey, which are twins. I didn't mention that Quentin and Tristan are twins. And Rosalind is also one of Julie's. Michelle has no children. Keith has 2 daughters who are no longer young children. Megan, who's getting married this summer, and Abby, who is probably 25, 26 years old. She lives in Elgin. And so we're getting excited for a summer wedding, which I'm pleased to hear right now. My brothers and family, quite a few of them are coming from all around the country to be for a nice celebration of family. Yes.
You have a lot of family gatherings, don't you?
Not the kids really did a nice job. I mentioned I turned 80 a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, and people always, my kids asked if I wanted to have one. I said, "Yep, I'd rather have people get together when it's a fun time," and they did. I forget how many we had, 125, 130 people, I think, out at Lake Warrens where we had it. My kids arranged it, and it was a fun time, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. So this, I hope, will be just much fun of a celebration. So yes.
Okay, let's see. You mentioned what your dad did for a living. Did your mother work outside the home at all?
My mother was a beauty operator by trade. She and my grandmother actually did social entertaining, hosting is the right word, at their home when they first came to town, both for weddings and for gatherings and for different church activities they hosted within the home. Then Mom went to work with her sister downtown at a beauty shop. And after a couple of years, with a number of little kids underfoot, she opened a beauty shop in her home. And so the small operation of the beauty shop was another social gathering, which truthfully, all my brothers, particularly Terry and Denny, we enjoyed. We met all the people. They, of course, in our house. It's very easy to have coffee and cookies, and we got to socialize, and we really enjoyed them. They became family. Mom, at the conclusion of a number of years, when I think all my brothers were all gone and off to college or married, she went to work for Peters Jewelry in Monmouth. And she worked for Peters Jewelry for a number of years. I'm not sure how many, but again, it was part-time, but she thoroughly enjoyed it. And again, the socializing and everything. And also at that time, she'd gone down to Peters. My grandmother had passed away at that time, and I'd lived with my grandmother all those years. And so she was kind of the center of the household. She could rule the roost when she wanted to, and many times had to, between Mom and Dad both working. So Sadie was she was a force to be dealt with. Little Irish lady.
What else about your grandma?
Well, my grandma, as I say, she all on positive. Not many kids got to walk home from school, whether grade school or high school. There was no hot lunch program, but my grandmother had a meal at lunchtime every day.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, it could have been soup and sandwiches, but it was a hot meal. And we really looked forward to coming home. So did our friends. I happened to only be a block from grade school and block and a half from the high school. So many times it was more than just myself coming home or my brothers. My grandmother also was she did a lot of knitting and crocheting. And my mom had that same talent, I think most people would say, for that, but they loved to do it. And so she was very gifted at that. She passed that on to both my daughters, can knit and crochet and have some skill with that.
Mhm.
And my grandkids are also pretty much interested in that type of craft and activity. So,
Uh-huh.
but Sadie Mahaffey just happened to have a little bit of a temper. It's hard to believe a good Irish lady like that would, but she also passed that on to my mom, who had these big brown eyes. And when she pointed a finger at you, you pretty well respected that. My dad was too busy working, but when he was mad, you wanted to be out of his way. But he had tremendous sense of humor. But when it was boiling point, Merle could be very controlling if he needed to.
Huh.
My dad probably played Santa Claus. I'm not sure what the record was, not record. I think he did for almost 35 or 40 years,
Yeah.
but played in Santa Claus all around the area, both Lido, Leor, Kirkwood, at the schools, church events, Warren Achievement, loved all of it. My mom did all the coordination of that in terms of timing, transportation, and so forth. And they really lived and died for that type of activity and enjoyment. So
Yeah.
happen to have a suit still
You still
hanging
have
in
the
the
suit?
closet somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't exactly fit too many of us. He was a short man,
Uh-huh.
but none of the kids seemed to be too interested in taking up the challenge of being Santa Claus. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely remember him when my kids were small. Santa Claus activities. All right, let's see. What's a memory that you have of your father as a child?
Probably was just hardworking.
Yeah.
I mean, he was constantly with raising the size of family. The fact that he was a lineman, they were on call 24/7. And very honestly, he couldn't get enough overtime where other people might have turned it down. He wasn't greedy for the money, they just needed it to raise the family. And yet at the same time, he was involved with all the kids' activities as best he could be, whether it was coaching, camping, scouts, leadership in the Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts. So wrote the memory, spending all of his time he could when he was free.
Hmm.
Did not like to fish.
Oh, he didn't like
No,
to fish?
so we were not a fishing family. We just did a lot of boating, Lake Warren,
Oh, yeah.
all of our cherished time out there. But yeah, very much just a hard worker.
Mm-hmm. And your mom, I bet your memories of her, or you mentioned the beauty shop and the socializing you did, with all the ladies coming.
And she, same thing, very, very involved with all of our sports and activities when he wasn't available, transporting, being a parent at Cub Scouts or dealing with the den. She didn't have any girls, so she had to go and tolerate all the boys. Very active in church all of her years, both at Sunday school and on different boards at the church, and then and any activity that came up. So she was very devoted to that. Loved entertaining. Always had tons of food in the freezer. Frozen salads were pretty common at our house. But she always, people could walk in and drop a van and she could put together a meal. I'm not so sure how. And they always did. And they would. We could go and see many people just show up, and instead of Sunday afternoon or in the evening, and she could graciously, and grandma was the other big factor. Grandma could make a meal out of what I thought was nothing and make it very delicious. So
Yeah.
very good cook.
Yeah.
Yep. She got fixed in her ways. She had, just like some people, these are the things I like to do best, and that's what I do. But didn't have any trouble eating. We enjoyed it all.
Did you have a garden?
As I grew up, we had a big garden. A lot of people have no idea. It was down by Harmon Park. And again, the difficulty and why we couldn't keep up with it was with my dad being the real force behind it and with working. But yes, typical tomatoes and the onions, potatoes, the standard. It always planted, worked at it. And but it just became too much at the time. Then they went to a smaller one, which was behind our house,
Okay.
which was more manageable. And again, my grandma, Sadie, she could go out and boss you around and get the job done. So
So your mom and grandma did a lot of canning?
all the time.
Yeah.
Yes. Same thing, applesauce. We did all the frozen corn.
Yeah.
Not so much tomatoes, but yes, very much a lot of canning. They were fortunate enough with the number of relatives. They were always able to buy portions of hogs or cattle from family.
Yeah.
So we were able to always seem to have meat and so forth in through there. So, yeah. And as I say, they loved the entertaining part of it. My dad did too. When he was home, he always liked, particularly as he retired, he really enjoyed being a part of that.
Uh-huh. Okay. Let's see. So you went to school here in Monmouth. You went to Willits?
Went to Willits, and I went to Willits. Chris will verify. I went to Willits when it's spelled Willits, and it's now spelled many different ways. But that was one year your school picture would be spelled that way, and the next year would be another way. I graduated from Monmouth High School in 1962.
Okay.
I was fortunate enough. I went to college in Greeley, Colorado State College. It was a teacher's college. It went a long way away, got on the train, and graduated from Colorado State College in 1966.
Okay.
With that, I played on basketball in Monmouth High School. I was on some very good teams. And I also was fortunate enough to enjoy football and baseball all those years, all the friendships and everything. At college, I had no intention of playing basketball. And I had a friend from here in Monmouth that was a school out there. His name was Doc Arthurs. And he encouraged me to do a walk-on. I did a walk-on and made the basketball team at that time, received a scholarship, and was fortunate enough, even though I didn't go and play the next few years, I tried out every year, and they continued to award me that scholarship all those years. So from a family standpoint, it made it tremendously financial. I was married at that time all through college, so I spent a lot of time working and not a great deal of time behind studying.
Uh-oh.
Backtrack, probably should have did a lot more studying, but I enjoyed it, had fond memories at the college, and I became a teacher.
Uh-huh.
I had no intentions of teaching. I actually went to college to become a funeral director. And with that, I took advanced classes, I chose to go into the teaching. I was a distributive education business major. My distributive ed, those that don't know, was where the students had classroom time either morning or afternoon, and they worked in the community. I had a very, very good school system in Fort Morgan, Colorado, is where I taught. I had no intentions of staying in Colorado, and it was a very nice school, new school, and I had a chance to become a basketball coach out there. And so I stayed there instead of returning back to Illinois. Tremendous memories, good time out there all the years.
Uh-huh.
So
And how many years were you there?
I was in college 4 years, and 2 years I taught.
Okay.
I left there. My good friend was a teacher at United Township, which is East Moline, Illinois. He was drafted into the military in the Vietnam conflict, and he called me to go and see if I would like to have a job. How times have changed. I never interviewed with anybody. They hired me on Carl's recommendation.
Oh, my.
And it was a vocational technical school actually up there. I loved it. Again, I was very proud to have students that worked in all the business fields and gave them an opportunity to work and make wages. And then I taught business classes as well up there. I was the intramural director at United Township High School and did some assistance with the basketball program up there. I was there 3 years. My life followed to bring me back to Monmouth. My father-in-law was Leonard Johnson, had a paint store, was struggling with the paint store, a small independent, as well as aging. Opportunity came, I came down, loved it. And so I went into a partnership at that time, which was 1971, I believe.
Okay.
And with that, was in business, sold out in 1984.
Okay.
And selling out, it was just a matter of time, borrowing money, dealing with competition, not working wanting to work 7 days a week with the opening of the Kmart's and the Shopko's and the Jacks. Times have changed for the small independent, but I wouldn't trade it. It was great years. We turned around and had the opportunity to sell my business at that time to Larry Baker, Baker Decorating. And with that, I worked for Larry for about 2.5 years. He was caught in about the same situation. I was dismissed at that time and really became just kind of an independent decorator for a period of time. But one of my very proud moments, I became the soccer coach at Monmouth College.
Nice.
Didn't know anything about it. And it was a great experience with trying to keep the program alive, which today it's a very good program. So did that. And then out of the blue, here comes a place called Warren Achievement, which I interviewed at in the same time, became marketing procurement there and was with Warren Achievement till 2001.
Okay.
At that time, it was the blessing that I had my skills in decorating, painting, mowing yards, because that's the direction I went.
Uh-huh.
And I tried interviewing at a number of other jobs. I dealt with some health issues at the time and chose not to leave Monmouth or to go back to Colorado. And with the decorating and everything and property management, and Chris and I bought rental properties, and I took care of those as well. And in doing so, the key to life, as I kept my wife working for another 16 or 20 years, well, I had the freedom to go and do what I want.
Uh-huh.
I also had the pleasure to work part-time for John Turnbull all those years. And also, I did things such as ACT testing with my brother Denny and with Chris. So it wasn't any problem coming up with things to go and do.
Uh-huh.
Loved all the opportunities to go and do decorating and working and refurbishing. And I enjoyed rental properties as well.
Uh-huh. Now, how long have you and Chris been married?
Chris and I were married in 1997. It was the same year that on July 2nd, I had a partial lung remove, which was for melanoma. And with that, we were married on August 2nd. So 30 days later, the words in sickness and health had a lot more meaning than they did earlier in the process. So we've been married since then, married at Faith Church. Yeah, a few
It's going
years
to be
ago.
30 years next year.
That's right.
Wow.
Probably have to do something.
Yes.
I'll take her to Kirkwood or take her down to
Yeah.
Point
take
Pleasant,
it on the
take her
table.
down to Point Pleasant and go for a picnic.
Yeah.
That's hardly been that long. Yes.
I know. Wow. Okay. Let's see. Tell us a story about something that happened at work, and you can pick any of your jobs. Something that stood out to you about one of your jobs.
Well, that's kind of one of the things would probably indicate my temperament is even while I was at Warren Achievement, I had mentioned I did property management with all the repossessions that were taking place. And security gave me an opportunity, instead of going and having properties set empty, I turned around and set up a program with them in which we cleaned the places, we refurbished them, they made them healthy, safe, whatever it took to go in, and I rented them. And with that, I was actually just an independent contractor for security, but I had a lady who would not pay her rent. And I really just turned around in the middle of all this. I couldn't take it anymore. And I took a sledgehammer through the picture window.
Oh.
It shows you my temperament at the time, which I feel has cooled down much time, but I had it. And this wasn't like one notice. This was like 9 months that she was in arrears. And fortunately, I did not relay that to Security Savings as to how I went and handled that at the time. And there were a number of situations probably that had to do with the rental properties, which we seemed to bend a few rules to go make things good. But it's good experience for me, and it was very good for security. We were able to fill these properties and find buyers and everything for that. So that may not be what you were looking for, but that's
Hey,
what
that's
took
an
place.
interesting story for sure.
Well, I can tell you another interesting part of that, and I will let my experiences go. With the rental property, I also had another tenant that was almost a year. We couldn't get them out, and they never paid anything. And it was a very hot summer day. My dad was a retired power and company lineman, and he had air conditioning going on upstairs, and just happened to turn around that the power went out one
I'll be
day
darned.
and never did figure out what happened. But it was a piping hot summer, and he was moved out within a matter of a few days.
Imagine that.
Again, didn't particularly relay that to any of the team.
Oh,
No, met a lot of good people in this process, though, both in rental property. More an achievement was extremely rewarding for me to go and work with all the different people down there, both staff as well as all the consumers. We really had a nice relationship.
Mhm.
And I was really proud. We had tremendous amount of good sales going on. We had some really, really fine companies that were providing work. I think maybe at one time we were maybe 125 to 140 consumers that were actively working each day, or at
Mhm.
least a part of a day, which I was real proud of. I was proud of the wages that some of them were able to make, because many of them on our piecemeal and could outperform us by all means and concentrates. So they had decent paychecks and they weren't being abused, and proud of that.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely something to be proud of. Um, let's see. Does anything else come to mind that you want to talk about your life? One thing that some other people have told me, they were raised, a lot of people were raised on a farm, didn't have running water, had an outhouse to go to. Did you have that experience or no?
Yep, I came into Monmouth growing up, so I was at house all the time. The farm, I was only out there about 9 months, wouldn't have any idea.
No.
They just laid me out in the sun, and let the chickens come up to me. So that was about the extent of it. No, but interesting part in my household, we turned around and had one bathroom for all of us that were in there. My dad finally put a shower in the basement, and you came in from the cellar door, and it was all just cement. And as he made the piping and the drain and what have you, it was a little cold.
Oh,
You took very quick showers. I'm not so sure there was even hot water down there.
oh my.
But it didn't make any difference. The room was such that there was a little breeze blowing in from outside. But we were almost all of us were involved in sports,
Mhm.
and you made sure you did your showering at the school before you came home, because you had warm water and everything on that.
Yeah.
But no, I really had no adversity whatsoever really growing up. Good heat,
Yeah.
furnace, and everything on that. So
Oh,
I,
good.
I had no hardships really to speak of whatsoever.
Oh, let me see here. Um,
I would go and mention to you one of the pleasures I got from my dad was the Christmas lighting. We did Christmas lights. Christmas was huge, and both inside and outside. And Dad always did the outside, all beautiful setup of everything,
uh-huh.
all the years that I can ever remember. And primarily, we did it on November 11th.
Oh.
And reason for that, Dad was power company. He had that day off, and it was
Okay.
Veterans Day.
Mhm.
So he turned around. Most of us, regardless, he may have started some of it earlier or even did it later. He didn't light them at that time, but we all did it. And we started out. We did all the roof lining on the church on the house. So it went all the way around. Big, huge 2-story house.
Yeah.
Had big trees out there. Had his different things in the backyard that he'd made, whether it be candy canes, but a lot of things like that. So that tradition I carried on,
Mhm.
and turned around. I have one string of lights that I use over at Faith Church, which needs to have some wiring improvements. But you know what? My dad used them all those years and didn't have any problem. And we bought some new ones at the church a few years ago, and they didn't hold up.
Oh,
And my dad's do. So I keep a couple things. Dad was do-it-yourself electrician, but he was scary. All he had to do is see how he did anything, but he never had a fire. But it was scary. But I love the tradition, and my brothers turn around and all decorate their homes. My son has off and on. My daughter Michelle does it, and so does Julie. And actually, my stepdaughter Lauren did a real nice job and had a lot of pleasure. So we've passed that on.
Yeah, good
Yep.
for you.
And Chris manages to put up a few things here in the house.
A few, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the church. How long have you been involved with your church?
I don't know a time that I haven't been involved in some form. Uh, I'm at Faith UP, United Presbyterian here in Monmouth. When I was in Greeley, attended the Presbyterian Church there and also in Fort Morgan. And then, so I've really been active at Faith Church almost since when it did the merger. Prior to that, I belonged to Grace UP Church, which is here in Monmouth. So my activity involvement was more of a helper at different events with mom or with dad. Then I went on to some financial boards at Faith Church and have served as a deacon many years and been on the session over that. Always enjoyed it. I've always helped on a number of different committees, wherever the case may be. Been an usher for all my life that I know going through there. So not many things that I really haven't done. I enjoy right now the freedom that I have. I help lock and unlock and take care of some custodial things in the church. And still, just this is the first time, I think, in 6 or 7 years that I haven't been on the deacons. So it's been kind of strange to not be involved in that over the years. But and deacons happens to be where you call in membership and take care of communion or different activities with the thing. I always enjoyed that with that and the reaching out to people on that. And Chris has been involved with the church tremendously. So it's been a joint sharing of skills, talents, and people. So I can't think too much more on the church, except it's always been a part. My parents were always involved.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, much in the same way.
Yeah. All right. What other community activities have you been involved in? I know the church.
Well, I've always took pleasure. It's hard to believe I was Chamber of Commerce president.
Okay.
I was president of the Monmouth Exchange Club, which is in non-existence now, but actually was a huge organization. And I bowed out of that when I terminated or sold my business. But I was president of Exchange Club for a couple of years and also on their boards and so forth on that. Relay for Life, I was very active with that. Primarily working with survivors, but jumping in and helping whatever committees that we go and turn around and take care of. I was always proud. I was part of an economic development back in the early 70s with the Chamber of Commerce. I was involved in the retail division of the Chamber of Commerce, which is a committee that functioned. I was proud to say I coached the Lions League and both boys. I helped in the girls, coaching probably softball, basketball, and at different Y programs. I was on the YMCA board. I was also on the Building Grounds Committee for building the new YMCA, which to me was new at the time.
Wow.
Quite a few different things.
Yeah, you're kind of a busy guy still.
Most of the surprising part, when the chamber and the Y and everything really took place all when I was in that 72 through 76, 77, it was just packed times at that time, plus trying to run a business or follow your kids or be involved in their sports or their activities and everything like that. So,
okay. All right. Anything else that you can think of, Jim?
I would mention a lot of the pleasure that we've had at Lake Warren. My folks have always been at Lake Warren. And with that, they built one of the first cabins out there. And so we enjoyed the pleasure of being out and it's a one room with a screened in porch. And that's a lot of boys and a lot of activities for a little tiny half bathroom. We loved it. We were there all the time. How times have changed because we turned around and particularly on the weekends or on church after church, we were out there generally working or doing something in the yard, but the boating, the freedom, it's where water skiing took place. It's also where tons of family just decided they'd drop by the cabin, and there again, how mom was able to feed them when they were struggling. We didn't know they struggled as much financially. Our parents didn't say that, but they'd show up and we'd enjoy the day or the activities. But the lake always was. My kids all water ski. Chris attempted to water ski. Grandkids are now water skiing, but we always enjoyed the water and the swimming out there at the lake. So that has changed for us because everybody has moved out of town or gone with their own lives. But we still have lots which we own out there with my brother Denny, and we still enjoy time out there and enjoy the lake. But over the years, it carried a big part.
Mhm. And you can be any age and enjoy that, can't you?
We certainly can, yes, and have, and still continue to do so.
Yeah. All right.
That could be about it. I'm not so sure what I might have left off.
Well, it's quite a story
Well,
and I enjoyed it.
I hope so.
And I thank you for inviting me into your home.
Even if it took a while to get the logistics going.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I'm going to save this and I'm going to end. So I think we're good.